What if I told you that the ancient Greeks discovered 5 principles to achieve true freedom over 2,000 years ago? Yes, indeed, the pursuit of freedom was a paramount endeavor for the ancient Greeks. They held freedom in the highest regard, seeing it as more than just a political state. They viewed freedom as a state of being that permeated every aspect of life, from the personal to the public, from the philosophical to the practical. To them, freedom was about autonomy and self-determination, about living life on their own terms. They strove for intellectual freedom, the freedom to think, to question, to learn. They sought social freedom, the ability to interact and engage with their community as free individuals. They yearned for spiritual freedom, to explore and express their beliefs without fear or constraint. The ancient Greeks believed in 5 principles to achieve this holistic sense of freedom. Let's delve into them. The first principle the ancient Greeks identified was autarkeia, or self-sufficiency. This principle was all about independence and the ability to sustain oneself without relying on external sources. Autarkeia was not about isolating oneself from the community, but about contributing to it from a position of strength and self-reliance. It was about being the master of one's own life. Let's move on to the second principle, ataraxia, or tranquility. Ataraxia was the state of serene calmness, a peace of mind that transcends the everyday turmoil. The Greeks believed that reaching this state of untroubled ease was critical to achieving freedom because it allowed them to rise above the petty concerns of daily life, to think clearly and to make wise decisions. The third principle, apatheia, or freedom from passion, may sound a bit counterintuitive. After all, aren't we often told to follow our passions? In ancient Greek thought, however, passion referred to the uncontrollable emotions that could lead us astray. Apatheia was about achieving a state of emotional balance, where one is not swayed by extreme emotions but navigates life with a steady hand. The fourth principle was eudaimonia, which means living in line with one's daemon. This isn't about demons in the modern sense, but rather about the unique spirit or character that each person carries within them. Living in line with one's daemon meant understanding and accepting oneself, and living a life that is true to who you are. Finally, we arrive at the fifth principle, arete, or virtue and excellence. Arete was about striving for the best in all areas of life, about pursuing excellence not for the sake of vanity but for the sake of becoming the best version of oneself. It involved moral virtue, intellectual excellence, and physical prowess. These 5 principles were not just abstract concepts but practiced ways of life for the ancient Greeks. You might be thinking, that's all well and good, but how does this apply to me? Well, let's dive into the relevance of these ancient Greek principles in our lives today. Imagine a world where everyone strives for self-sufficiency, not in the sense of isolating oneself from society, but in developing the skills and knowledge to be independent, to be able to solve our problems, and to contribute effectively to the community. This is exactly what the Greeks were hinting at. Now let's consider tranquility. In the hustle and bustle of our modern world, finding inner peace sounds like a vacation we all need, doesn't it? The Greeks were pioneers in advocating for mental calmness as a path to freedom. Freedom from passion, however, might sound counterintuitive, but it's not about suppressing our emotions. It's about not being a slave to them, maintaining control over our reactions and making rational decisions. Living in line with one's spirit, then, is about authenticity, about being true to ourselves, aligning our actions with our beliefs and values. And in an era where authenticity is often compromised, this principle feels more relevant than ever. Striving for virtue and excellence, finally, is about continuously improving, being the best version of ourselves. It's about setting high standards, not for the sake of competition, but for personal growth. The ancient Greeks may have lived thousands of years ago, but their wisdom is timeless. So, what have we learned today? We've journeyed back to ancient Greece, revealing 5 principles that the Greeks believed were the keys to true freedom. These principles, self-awareness, moderation, justice, courage, and wisdom, still hold value for us today. They challenge us to look within and around, to act justly and bravely, and to strive for wisdom. The pursuit of freedom is as old as humanity itself, and the ancient Greeks have given us a timeless roadmap to follow.